Good morning.
Good
Morning.
morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Good morning.
Okay, well, why don't we get started? First, good morning, everyone. If I could just ask you all to please mute yourself, that would be wonderful. We do have a great attendance here today, so thank you for taking the time out to have a really important conversation about on-the-job training for folks with disabilities. I am Chrissy Butis. I am the Chief Government Affairs Officer at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, joined by a number of my colleagues. And we are here today in what is now the third webinar of a webinar series that we have been hosting with the goal of educating our business community and various stakeholders about how to go about hiring someone with a disability. I am thrilled to have so many great participants here today from several of our disability partners who have sought to engage both a few folks, an employee, their job coach, as well as their employer. So in addition to hearing an overview of some of the programs that are available, as well as from the New Jersey Department of Labor and the resources they have, we're very excited to hear from three specific panels about how the day-to-day interaction works within their various companies with the employee. So I'm going to ask everyone, with so many folks on the phone today, to please mute. We do want to encourage you to ask questions. If you could put them in the chat. We will try to leave a few minutes at the end as well. And so I thank you for being here today. I also want to acknowledge that this would not be possible without all of our various partners. So bear with me as I read down some of our participating organizations, which include Access New Jersey, the Alliance for Betterment of Citizens with Disabilities, the ARC of New Jersey, and a special shout out to Tom Bafuto, who's been there right alongside me from day one. ASAH, the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, the Commerce and Industry of New Jersey, and thank you, Tony, for your contributions here today as well. So I want to acknowledge that. Community Access Unlimited, Community Options, Easter Seals New Jersey, who will be speaking, Jewish Vocational Services of Metro West, New Jersey Association of Community Partners, New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, New Jersey Council on Developmental Disabilities, the New Jersey Department of Human Services, New Jersey Association of People for Employment First, the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development, Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber of Commerce, Rowan University, Spectrum Works, who's speaking here today as well, and the Boggs Center on Developmental Disabilities. I apologize if I missed anyone. Please put it in the chat if I do. But I think what you see here is the real synergy and collaboration taking place between all of our various colleagues with the goal, again, of increasing employment opportunities for those with disabilities. I also want to acknowledge that we have had several elected officials that may have joined us as well. Again, we have strong attendance, so thank them if they were able to join. And also we've received several different media coverage outlets that either may be on today or have covered or will cover to further educate New Jersey's residents, our employers, and all stakeholders about hiring someone with a disability. So I hope I covered all of our intros, but more importantly, please be engaging with us during this conversation. Be mindful that we do have employees, employers, as well as their job coaches speaking on various panels. So bear with us as we transition between different speakers in our virtual world. So without further ado, what I would like to do now is move forward with the agenda. And we'll start with getting an overview of the different programs and background information that we're going to spend just a few minutes on. just so we have a general understanding of what's out there. And again, keeping in mind, we have many different partners, disability partners who offer services, but I'm going to call upon Bert Brooks, the Creative Services Manager from Easter Seals, New Jersey, to provide us with an overview of the various programs that our employers can take advantage of and should be knowledgeable about. So Bert, the floor is all yours.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, I've been told I can't talk too much, not something I'm used to, but I will do my best here because I want to honor everybody's time. So thank you so much for joining us today. This is an incredibly important topic. Many employers do not have or have limited experience with hiring people with disabilities, let alone training on top of that. This is the workforce of the future. It is 1 in 4 people in the US has a disability or identifies as having a disability. So you're in luck because you live in New Jersey, which provides plenty of supports that allow you to attract, hire, and train these employees. Anything from information to actually on-the-job supports, which is what I'll kind of focus on in part today. One of the ways that manifests is through our job coaches that do tireless work. And what is a job coach? What isn't a job coach? It really is doing everything that they possibly can to help the individual who is looking for a job to be hired, navigate, but also to help the business to navigate the hiring process, the training process, and even follow along after maybe the person is more comfortable in their position. There's a lot that job coach is doing, even offsite, even before they get to you for the interview process, they're going through training. So many of the employees with disabilities or in your case, prospective employees would be training before they even get to you and have plenty of experience that they're bringing to the position. So we're going to focus on training today and what we're going to be doing and how the job coach fits into this position, as well as the employee with disabilities. So I'll take a look and give you some examples of how that ends up working and some concrete examples, I promise you. But other than that, I do want to tell you that this group of employees, you're not alone in hiring these individuals. This job coach, as I said, is assisting you along this process. So some of the things that they can offer assistance with is accessible technology, working with the individual on tasks, working on the environment that you actually have for your business to see how accessible is that environment, which I will just do a little shout out to universal accessibility, because as you adapt your business to assist people with disabilities, it actually helps across the board. So because people with disabilities aren't necessarily just your possible employees, as we say, they are your customers as well. So by hiring them, you're not only getting a quality employee, you're actually helping your business to make it more inclusive and open, and you can make some more money. That's great. We all want to do that. So let's take a look at some more specific examples. So one of the individuals we have today is a perfect example. They'll be speaking later to really get into the nitty-gritty of what happened when they got hired at the Millville Public Library. But as that person came in, there were certain things that needed to be identified to say, okay, what are these accessible pieces that need to come in here? And when we say accessibility, traditionally, when you think technology or what I need to put in place in the workplace, you usually think ramps or railings or some expensive piece of technology somewhere, something like that. And though that may be the case in some ways, oftentimes it is not. In one case, what we identified was, on the books in this library, there were some faded numbers on the back of the book. So trying to organize these books and put them in the right place was one of the job tasks for this individual. And her eyesight wasn't necessarily helping her do that because of the faded numbers that were there. Probably someone with perfect eyesight might not have been able to see that in the first place, So first of all, they decided, we should relabel these, which again, that's an example of universal design where ultimately anybody who came in, an elderly individual, myself, my eyesight might be going soon, where I would want to be able to read those books as well. Well, in order to make this job accessible to this individual, they worked with the job coach to identify the solution for this. So they put they relabeled and made sure that these numbers were no longer faded. Books get old, it happens, right? That's just what's going to happen. That's what makes them great. They store our knowledge. So going in and learning the Dewey Decibel System, and then also putting these new readable pieces onto the back of the books, that was helpful. But then the accessible piece of technology that brought it all together, a magnifying glass with a light, all right? Something cheap, easy, accessible, something you get off Amazon, probably next day shipping, I assume, that would come right to your door. That actually made that job accessible to this individual to be able to do that. And oh, the light, that was something that came up where we said, oh, there's a light on this magnifying glass because certain parts of the library were actually a little bit dimly lit because certain light bulbs were out. So again, hiring the person with a disability all of a sudden identified, oh, wow, this part of the library was a little bit underlit. Maybe we should be, solving that problem for not just the employee, but for our customers as well. So those are the kinds of things where the job coach was able to go back and forth between the individual with disabilities and the employer to identify these issues and identify the solutions. The business owner, it wasn't entirely on the business owner. That's the one thing that is the fear that I think a lot of businesses have, or at least the business owners that I've spoken to. They have a fear where they don't know. They don't know. They haven't been exposed. They don't know what to do. So therefore they say, all right, I'm not even going to try. But here's the thing. You have a job coach who's been working with this individual for months, years, knows this person very well, knows their needs, and actually knows the disability community and accessible technology space very well, very thoroughly. So they can be your resource that you can lean on. So I said they help with hiring, training, and also the follow along. So we're talking about training here, but training doesn't just stop with when the person's able to do the job. Everybody's needs change over time. So that job coach, even after they help that person get set up, ready to work, they're doing the job great, they actually can still be a resource after that, where the job coach falls away and the person with disabilities takes on the entire job themselves and does everything exactly how you want it to. Why do I say they're going to do it exactly how you want it to? Because we have study after study that shows that people with disabilities end up being your best workers. They want to go to work. They want to do a good job. I do too, but there's those days that I'm not necessarily going to want to go to work. But people with disabilities are ready, willing, and disabled. So that's where we're at. And, this resource is not something that you should, overlook. It is something that is there for you to hire and make the process as easy as possible. And it's a win-win situation for everyone in the end. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to hearing what everybody says in terms of the presentations. I haven't heard them all, so it's going to be exciting for me as well. But thank you all again, and I'll hand it off to our next presenter.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Bert. And I trust you'll be definitely available to answer any specific questions as they arise. So folks, please put them in the chat, or we'll again try to leave a few minutes at the end. So we're going to transition now to hear some specific examples of on-the-job training from an employee, their job coach, as well as the employer. So I'd like to welcome, on behalf of the Easter Seals panel, the Millville Public Library, and specifically our employee, Nicole Gorman, her job coach, Shantice Womack, and our employer, the Millville Public Library, Michael Conover is joining us as well. And so just bear with us as we bring everybody up to the screen here.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hello. Okay, we have all three folks. So I will now turn it over to you, I think, Shantice or Michael, to kick off your panel discussion. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I gotta say, Bert, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, you even took some of my lines at some parts. So it's yeah, it's incredible. Go ahead, Nikki. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Um,
Oh no, I'm nervous too. Yeah, trust me.
I'm a little nervous right now. Um,
Nikki, do you want to just share about some of the things that you do at work, some of the tasks that you do there?
yes. I am a librarian page, and what I do is I take the books that are out and that was on the shelf, and I scan them back in computer system, and I just put them back on the shelf in the right order. And any books that are like out of order, I just take them off and I rescan them and I put them back on the shelf in the right order.
Yep, I would say that that's a succinct description of the job. And of course, you know, there are other things that we'll ask you to do occasionally that come up. You know, for instance, if there are items that won't fit on the shelf, sometimes they need to be adjusted. So, you know.
Yeah, I see a lot of that, and what I do is I take them off, and if there's no room, I just do the shifting category and I just shift the shelves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I'm personally extremely pleased with your performance. You know, I have to say, yeah, you've come a long way from the beginning. And you know, like Bert was saying, there were some things that I, as the trainer, was not seeing as a need, but you know, that's something that's great about Easter Seals is, you know, they really do have a whole team of people that know their employees. And so, you know, sometimes it's really helpful to mediate concerns and questions like that. And Shantice, you've been great with corresponding from Easter Seals on that. You know, always appreciate it.
And she's a good help.
Naturally.
Shantice, can you talk a little bit about your role, please?
Yes. Well, in the beginning, I seen her more frequently. And then as times progressed, she was doing good. And I see her a little less, but I make sure I come by at least an hour and a half a week. And in the beginning, her mask was making her glasses a bit foggy. So we provided like anti-fog spray. And also I learned the Dewey Decimal System so I can help her put away books, because before I didn't really know too much. So when I'm there with Nikki, we're like a team. And also like I became like a support person with her. And like I'm the middle person between Nikki and management. And you know, I speak to her on a friend level to where she's comfortable with speaking to me. And with Easter Seals, we accommodate with the business needs. And if she needs additional resources, we're here for her. So they can always reach out to me or us.
Yeah, I have to say, one thing that was really helpful as a collaborative effort there was taking a different approach. Remember, Nikki, to learning the more complicated decimal places. Easter Seals was great at working together to figure out a different way of explaining that, and then it just went great from there. And in fact, I think it's not an exaggeration to say I learned better how to put Dewey numbers in order just by thinking about it a different way. It was a great experience.
Michael, as the employer, is there one piece of advice, one thing you would like to leave with our attendees here today? Because you are the one, you know, obviously employing a Nikki. So anything you'd like to leave with our business community?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just go for it. Like honestly, it's a really great opportunity. And it's really not as taxing as it might seem to be. I think it's a bit of a premature assumption in a lot of cases, but understandable at the same time. But yeah, Bert covered a lot of it. But if you're asking me, I'm very satisfied. I'm very satisfied, and they're always there to help and to take questions and concerns, even by email at any time. So you guys have been great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So I don't know if there's any other questions or comments our first panel would like to make, but Nikki, you did a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you, Shantice and Michael. I know you're going to stay on the Zoom for a while, so if we have any additional questions, thank you. And again, Nikki, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. I'm just happy I could be here.
So are we.
Likewise.
Okay, folks. So now we're going to hear from our second panel. If you just bear with me for one moment here. Our Spectrum Works panel is going to be highlighting Greenlight development. And the employee that is joining us today is Kyle Gregg, who's a data analyst from Greenlight Development. And our employer is Robert Butters, the founder and CEO of Greenlight Development. And again, our employer, Kay Murphy, is an associate director. And Anne Marie, who is our job coach, the founder and CEO of Spectrum Works, is joining us. So we'll just let everyone come on board. I think we're all here, actually. So great. So maybe Anne Marie, would you like me to kick it over to you or to
Yes,
that work?
that's perfect.
Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here to address all the business leaders in this community with great programs. So I'm the founder and CEO of Spectrum Works, and we're a nonprofit that provides job training and employment to autistic individuals by building inclusive workforces for companies. And I'm really happy today to introduce our panel, Robert Butters. He is the founder of two of our partner companies, FM and Greenlight. We've been working together since 2013. And he's also the chairman of my board. But most importantly, he's our chief cheerleader, we call him, because he's on a mission to help other companies start programs as well, because he's found that it's rewarding and it's a great business case as well. And we have Kyle Gregg. He successfully completed our on-the-job training program, and then he was hired by Greenlight as a data analyst, but it's a remote position, which is really an interesting thing to talk about today, how that can work. And then he quickly transitioned out of needing a job coach. And in order to have a successful program, you need to have an executive champion. We have Robert, but you also need employees that care. And so Kay Murphy, she is the associate director at Greenlight, and she stepped up. She volunteered to manage Kyle at the beginning, and she's really embraced her role as a mentor. And now she's become a natural support for him, which is really important to the long-term success of an employee. And so right now, Robert, can you tell us about your experience working with Spectrum Works and also, building an inclusive workforce?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. As Anne-Marie said, I'm Robert Butters. I was the founder and CEO of a manufacturing company. I met Anne-Marie about 10 years ago. We have had an incredible experience with Spectrum Works. And the reason I'm the chief cheerleader is because I completely believe in the program that was started and the future of programs like this. As Michael before said, the biggest challenge is getting companies to understand that you can do this. And to do it, you need organizations like Spectrum Works or Easter Seals who absolutely can provide the type of support that a corporation needs. We're in New Jersey. We're a manufacturing company. We have had over 500 people come from Spectrum Works through our programs. Kyle is a great example of somebody who comes in at a level, and then we continue to raise the bar. And actually, he continues to exceed that bar. And I think as an example of where you can go to in these programs, as Anne-Marie said, it's very much about belief in that this program adds value. Just one quick story, then I will hand over to Kay, because at the end of the day, it's the team on the ground that do the work. But I think within my organization, in my professional life, which has been 30 or 40 years of working in entertainment, the greatest pleasure I get, and probably the greatest accomplishment, has been the success of this program and the growth of this program. So as we grew as a company, Spectrum Works grew with us, and the number of people that are working with us and in our organization has completely changed the way that our organization deals with the ability to integrate people with any disability into our workforce. I always encourage people to come see. There's nothing like coming seeing it, because you cannot discern an individual from another. And I truly mean that. They are completely integrated into our workforce. Without Spectrum Works, we couldn't do this. They manage so much on the ground. They make sure employees are helped and supported. They evaluate them, and then they push them to get the best out of them. And that's at all levels. We don't talk about disabilities, we talk about abilities. We talk about low support and high support, and at the end of the day, how that transitions. Because as Kyle is a great example of somebody who started with a job coach, and now he doesn't need one. In fact, I think he has taught us a lot that we can do better. So it's been a great program. Lastly from us, we keep pushing the envelope, and we started something called Spectrum Bridges, which is an organization that is set about to build a platform connecting employers, educators, stakeholders. We're partnering with RWJ Barnabas, and they believe in healthier communities. And we believe a healthier community is a workforce that is engaged, that enjoys what they do. And so I'd love to talk more. I will hand it over to Kay, because she's really doing the work on the ground. And then obviously ultimately to Kyle, who's the great example of how these programs can work.
Sounds great. Thanks, Robert. Well, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my experience working directly with Kyle and managing a team at Greenlight that includes Kyle. When I first started with Greenlight, we were already working, as Robert said, alongside Spectrum Works. In my direct experience, there was a job coach who was helping to facilitate this relationship for some of the projects that I was working on and I was leading. And in the past 6 months, we have now pivoted to working directly with Kyle. And we've even lost the job coach aspect of it, just because, as Robert said, Kyle grew into this position and has worked seamlessly with our team since he started with us about 6 months ago, full time. There definitely were some like daunting moments at the very beginning, just because this was kind of a novelty, something that I had not done before as a manager. And it was going to be a learning experience for me for sure. But the big aha moment for me was when I realized I didn't have to change the nature in which I worked or I approached employees, management, and projects. That's kind of the beauty of Spectrum Works. So Spectrum Works helps to set up students and employees for success within your business model. So my biggest advice to anybody who's going through this process would be to be super upfront at the beginning with like what your expectations are and what you need in the position that you're trying to fill, or in any position in your business that you think Spectrum Works could plug in for you. But I would also say, as you're going through the process, to be super open-minded to providing learning experiences, just as you would for any other employee, but also to be on the receiving end of learning experiences. Like Robert said, Kyle has taught us a lot about the work that we've done. There's been many moments where he's figured out a better way to do something that we have been doing for a while, and he shared and taught that with our team, which has been really cool. So I think if you look at it from a perspective of learning and growth, the employee that you bring on not only will grow into the role, but will also grow into your company. And I think with any employee, that's kind of the end goal. You want to have that retention. You want to have employees who want to work for you and make a bigger impact outside of just their job responsibilities and roles. And I would just end it by sharing how I feel and how I've felt about this experience. I want to say I'm really grateful to be able to share this experience and to be on this seminar with everybody. I'm grateful to SpectrumWorks and to Kyle, Robert as well, obviously. And it feels a bit strange actually to be on this seminar and talking about this, because I'm going from working with Kyle day to day to taking a step back and kind of a broader look at the impacts that he's making. And as I said before, Kyle has fit so seamlessly into our workforce and into our team that, I manage him the same way that I manage the 3 other employees that I work alongside. So to think of this in a different way when it feels so much the same, it is quite strange. But I think, again, that's the beauty of SpectrumWorks, and I'm really thankful to them to give us this opportunity to let us be the vehicles of making this change, because they're doing all the hard work to allow us to sort of have the glory of making this change and feeling how special it can be to affect people's lives in this way. So definitely very grateful.
So why don't we hand over to Kyle? And
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think? How's it been for you?
Oh, it's been a pretty interesting experience working through you guys, because originally we were working separately. We weren't working like directly with each other, but after we start working directly with each other, it got much more smoother and quicker. The whole experience of like getting work done, tasks and learning and communication. I think that's what directly led to me becoming more, not the right word, be naturalized member of the team. Yeah. So on that level, front of things, it's definitely made me feel like a part of it, green, or through like directly communicating with guys every day. But when it comes through the support, the SpectrumWorks gave me for the last like 4 years, I'd say it's what directly led me to going into like learning design, graphic design. Because like just through using like Illustrator and Photoshop like every day and stuff, it's like I continued honing my skills and images and art and working with the stuff and making t-shirts, and eventually that helped me realize that's what I wanted to do. And the new flexibility offered through working from home, it's definitely helped me like continue feeling positive about all of it. I guess is positive. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say one other thing about working with Kyle and our experience the past couple months is like giving Kyle more of a big picture of the projects that he's working on, and how his tasks in those projects is affecting the whole project and the company, has allowed us to learn more about Kyle. And like I said before, to allow him to grow more into our company as opposed to just this one specific task or role. So the graphic design is a perfect example.
One thing I know we're going to run out of time. So one thing I really would like to stress, and for people, I mean, they call me a cheerleader, but cheerleading on your own is a little lonely. One of the things I will tell you is that other companies can do this. If there was a doubt that in your mind of should I not, or you're talking to somebody who is thinking about starting a program, these programs are achievable. They can be done, and the benefits of them truly way outweigh any challenge you have in starting a program. The biggest way of seeing that is to talk to companies that have done it. Please talk to us. Anybody can reach out and ask us how we started. We've been doing this now for 7 or 8 years. And so with that sort of experience, we would love to share that. We'd love to share with people how you can do it, what you need, and to provide, again, through SpectrumWorks, little nuggets of how you can quickly, because these programs don't have to take years and years and years. You can start with 1 employee, you can start with 5 employees, you can start with, as many as you can handle. I would just say you can do it. It's an incredible experience, and one that is so worthwhile. You will, at the end of the day, regret if you don't come into a program like this.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ted, Kay, Anne-Marie, and especially to Kyle for taking the time out today to share your experiences and all your advice. And thank you for being able to be a resource to us. And if you don't mind putting your your company information may be in the chat so folks can reach out to you if you feel comfortable directly. That would certainly be great as well, because we have a great employer here who's saying lead in and is offering to be of assistance to our employer community. So thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate your time today, and I know you'll stay on as long as you can, but we're going to transition now to our third and final panel before we go over to the Department of Labor. So I want to thank the ARC of New Jersey's panel with the Community Supports Network coming, and Mary Faye Narin, who is our employee joining us. She is a human resources professional there, as well as her job coach, Rachel, and she is the Director of Employment Services, and Mary Kay Supervisor Ted Mayer, who's the President and CEO. So thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today, and I will now turn it over to you. I believe, Ted, are we going to start with you?
Sure, thank you. Good morning. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to speak here today and for us to be able to share our experiences. Before I introduce the panel, I'd like to just remind everybody, this is a wonderful time, no better time for individuals to become employed. Opportunities abound, barriers continue to be broken on a daily basis. And I think to echo what Mr. Butters said and also what Bert Brooks said, this is a wonderful time. Please reach out to us, let us know if there's any way that we could assist. Mary Faye Narin has been with us now for going on a couple of years. Rachel Sonstaby is our Director of Employment Services. And Rachel, if you can lead in and take us from here.
Yeah, so I met Mary Faye a couple years ago before she worked for us when I was her job coach. Now she works very well with her natural supports in our office. But when I met her, she was working at Club Pilates at the front desk, scheduling, answering the phones, doing some customer service, but her true passion was to help people like herself, adults with disabilities. So when we were job searching, we were doing a lot of thinking, and we just so happened to have an opening. We needed a little bit of help in HR in our own company. So we had her apply, she interviewed, and we ended up hiring her because of her unique set of skills that she learned from her previous job. We did give her some tools and resources to help her succeed, so she could work with those natural supports. And I know she wants to talk about them today, so I'm going to allow her to do that. But we're always here to help her, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch her take on new tasks over these years. I mean, she helps us with fingerprinting, background checks, scheduling interviews. I mean, we couldn't hire people without her. So it's really a wonderful thing, and we're very proud of her, and we look forward to seeing what more she can do with us. Mary Faye?
So just like Rachel said, for me having a job coach, it helped so much. Rachel was able to help me learn my job and gave me the tools to succeed, for me to get things done and how to best accomplish tasks. I've learned how to communicate better, on how to advocate for myself. So as Rachel being my job coach, we were able to work as a team, my supervisor, Rachel, and I, about what I need to improve on and the solutions of how I can do so. Some of the examples that I still use to this day, and that actually have helped, believe it or not, the company, not only myself, is where Rachel created a model file for me, because I do a lot of filing in the office. So she made a model file for me of the order of which the papers need to be in, so I can organize the files accordingly. And it's been used throughout the company. Rachel also helped me create scripts for phone calls and for emails, which really helped. And I've updated them, edited them, and I still use them because they're super helpful for me as well. I've learned how to break down tasks, and I just have more confidence in myself as well. And then too, I love working for the company. I love learning, and it's been a great experience. And then Ted, to turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mary Faye. She's a dream, isn't she? In conclusion, I just want to say that many of our most meaningful relationships are cultivated on the job. For many of our clients, building long-lasting relationships are difficult. And however, unlike many of us, job seekers stay on average a short time. They move on to another role. A lot of our individuals stay for a lifetime. I can't tell you how many individuals that I've spoken to, other employers I've spoken to, when individuals find the right job, they stay forever. I'd like to leave you with a few parting thoughts. First, I want to consider that the role that you might be looking to fill might be difficult. The job that everyone getting out of school feels worth $50,000 or $60,000, and yet you haven't filled it because it's a little bit more than entry level, and it's not quite the executive suite. The HR generalist, the archivist, a key holder that opens the store at 6 o'clock in the morning, a document specialist, even that graphic designer, the young man Mr. Greg just mentioned before, that job that everybody else passes on, but is still an essential part of what we do. The next time you have difficulty filling that role, I want you to consider one of us. We don't charge a fee. You don't need to sift through hundreds of resumes to find an individual. You can reach out to someone at the ARC or Easter Seals or even Spectrum, or even us here at CSN. We may just have your next superstar in our lineup. And even if we can't, I can assure you that we could be in a position to help train that individual. And once you have them, I can assure you, you won't want to let them go. I want to wish everybody a lot of luck in their job search, because it's really, really a wonderful time again to find employment. And just if I might, a shameless plug, I know I'm going to be turning this over to the Department of Labor. I've been trying to become a DVR vendor for about 4 months now. So anybody can help me out there, I'm more than willing to. I see my girls are smiling there. So we'd like to do that. Since we work exclusively for DVD right now, we'd also like to work for the Department of Labor and become vocational rehabilitation specialists. So thanks so much. I appreciate
Great.
it. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. This was extremely informative, and thank you, Ted, for also imparting some words of wisdom upon the business community as well. And certainly thank you, Mary Faye and Rachel. Really appreciate your time. Great job, and I know you'll stay on for as long as you can as we transition to the Department of Labor. And so I do want to invite my colleagues, Nick Toth, the Director of Office of Apprenticeships, but also Barbara Stockton, who is the Program Planning and Development Specialist for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. And I know we're going to see if Nick is on. So Barbara, I know we're going to start with you at this point in time, if that's okay. It is, and I'm hoping Nick is on. Nick, if you're on, maybe you could just say hello or put in the chat. That would be great. If not, we can always come back to you. Nick, are you on?
I'm here. Yep.
Okay. Nick, what name are you under? Just so we know.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I have a Zoom name per se, but I'm turning video off because I'm going to spare all of you the poor visual of me having a sinus head cold and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So,
well, thank
yep.
you for making the time while you're under the weather. So we'll turn to you then, Nick, first, so you can get back to bed. But I do want to acknowledge that the Department of Labor and DVRS, as well as the Department of Disabilities and Human Services, have been working with all of our collective stakeholders from day one. And so always appreciate them being accessible. And I know that when folks reach out, certainly looking for resources, the Department of Labor is a great place to start if you have questions as well. And we have acknowledged that we've worked and continue to work with many of our disability partners, some highlighted here today, but we listed some other partners in the chat, so you get to see again who's participating and supportive. But I do want to turn it over to you, Nick, because you do have some unique opportunities that the employer community should be aware of in the Department of Labor. So Nick, I'll turn it over to you for right now.
Great. Well, Chrissy, team, everyone, thank you again for giving me and the Department of Labor an opportunity to talk about some of the stuff that we do here. I think that this is such a great timing for this conversation. Just a little by way of a little background of what I do. My name is Nick Toth. I'm the director of the New Jersey Office of Apprenticeship. My office oversees approximately 6 grant programs, and we're operating on about a $20 million budget a year. And out of that $20 million, the lion's share is really dedicated to funding our grant programs to support training programs for people and organizations that want to get involved in apprenticeship programs. I wanted to take this opportunity to do a quick elevator pitch to talk about our flagship program that we'll be re-releasing within a few weeks, called the GAINS program. The GAINS program is an acronym for Growing Apprenticeships in Non-Traditional Sectors. And we will be putting out approximately $3 or $4 million to support training opportunities for businesses that are looking at starting what are called registered apprenticeship programs. One of the great things about this program is it really does do a good job of defraying the cost of starting training programs. And if you look at the grant opportunity, which I'll circulate with the group afterwards, we do have a section in there that talks about some of our aspirations as a program office, and more specifically, some of the targeted populations that we want to engage in when we award funding. And one of those populations are persons with disabilities. So the GAINS program allows essentially for really three key funding areas. The first one is the grant can cover any sort of program management costs that are associated with developing a registered apprenticeship program. Sometimes, you need a person that's going to do the administrative work and data entry and sort of coordinate training. And the other two areas are we put a lot of money into what's called on-the-job training, but in the form of a wage support or wage subsidy. So we can support the an apprentice's wage up to $8,000 over the first 6 months of their apprenticeship for each employee. So if you were to do that for 10 employees, you could theoretically apply for $80,000 in funding to support the on-the-job training. We do that in recognizing that sometimes you have to take someone off the line to train and mentor someone that's just coming in and getting their feet wet. And then the last piece of funding is to cover any sort of licenses, credentials, certifications that are needed or desired by that training program. So we really do cover sort of from soup to nuts the entire scope of apprenticeship programs. And I think that having this group here today is a great opportunity to talk about that, because one of the challenges we've had is finding organizations that have good exposure to persons with disabilities that can help hire and train and facilitate these types of training programs. And I couldn't think of what better time to really talk about this than now, given that we'll be releasing this shortly. I will put my email in the chat. So if there are any people that are interested in learning more about our suite of programs, I know I only had a quick 5-minute elevator pitch here, but we do have 6 grant programs total. I think the GAINS program is most relevant to this group, but more than happy to have a conversation with anyone offline around where we can help. We can provide technical assistance on any questions you have regarding starting an apprenticeship program. And it's something that we've been now working on for the past 4 years. This is really born out of a vision that Governor Murphy had back in March of 2018. So I highly encourage anyone that's interested to reach out. There's a lot of resources out there in this area. And I look forward to speaking with you all. So Chrissy, again, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I apologize. I usually like the visual aid. I like putting on my suit, even if I'm working from home. But I'm in rough shape right now. So I thank you again for your flexibility.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for joining us while you're under the weather and always being a resource to us. I always know you're a phone call or an email away, and thank you for providing your information directly to our attendees. So I'll turn it now over to Barbara for some remarks.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I am Barbara Stockton. I'm one of the business outreach team consultants with DVRS. There are 4 of us, and we cover different areas of the state. I cover central and northern counties, which are Middlesex, Somerset, Hunterdon, Essex, and Hudson counties. And the mission of DVRS is to enable eligible individuals with disabilities to achieve an employment outcome consistent with their strengths, priorities, needs, abilities, and capabilities. And the BOT team, we are here to assist the business partners in improving your business and enhancing career opportunities for our consumers. And we are here to assist with some of the things that were mentioned today in the webinar. Some of the things that I heard were workplace accommodations, supported employment services with job coaches, assistive technology, on-the-job training. And the bot services, we're here to consult with businesses to determine staffing and training needs, access to a new talent of qualified candidates, and that will also lead to a diversified workforce, information on assistive technology, disability etiquette training presentations, consultations on ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, pre-screening of employment and internship candidates, exclusive hiring events, on the job training contracts and other hiring incentives, job analysis, and apprenticeships. So we're here for the businesses as well as individuals with disabilities to work together to get our candidates employed and help your businesses.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Nick. I'm going to be now joined and want to give a shout out and thank you to my team, Jamie, Marcy, and Alexis Bailey. Alexis, if you could join as well to help if there's any questions, we'd love to facilitate them at this point in time. So please either raise your hand, chime in, write something in the chat. But I do want to just acknowledge that the Department of Labor clearly has a lot of resources available to the business community. So it is really important, if you have any questions, you can obviously email NJBIA. You can email any of the different business associations, especially those that are listed as our partners who are very familiar with the department as well, so that we can help get you connected as well. So if anybody has any questions, please certainly let us know. And don't all be shy.
Thanks, Chrissy. First, I just want to acknowledge I saw a couple people in the chat ask for some more information about some of the panelists or contact information. We will make sure to get that out to everyone after the presentation. So don't worry if you didn't catch it in the chat. I see Kate, you have your hand up.
Marie now, the lady. All right. Okay.
Kate, I'll ask you to unmute.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kate.
So here's my question is, what do you say to an organization who says, well, we can't have job coaches, we have too much confidential information? Like if it's a you know, a job in a doctor's office or a bank or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kate, for that question. Well, can you go back on mute, please? Whoever just came off. Does anybody from DOL, perhaps, I don't know, Barbara, if that's something for you or any of our disability partners, if you want to chime in, who have spoken previously, if you got that question previously from one of your employers.
Yes, this is Barbara Stockton. Sometimes we do have get concerns from employers on you know, can they have a job coach? Sometimes it's just clarifying what they're there to do and getting the proper clearance. And a lot of times businesses are open to having a job coach.
Great, thank you. Any of our employers on the line that presented, if you wanted to chime in, by all means, please do, but thank you. And we can certainly connect you, Kate, offline as well. If you have additional follow-up, you can reach out to Alexis or myself.
So this is Robert. I mean, I can tell you quickly from our perspective as an employer, we have an NDA with SpectrumWorks. So there's never an issue of data of any sort of informational challenges, and the employer and employee work, basically they are our employees, so they are under exactly the same code that all of our employees are. So we have not had a problem at all with that confidential information. And as in terms of the job coach, they fall under the same banner, and so we have an NDA with SpectrumWorks.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Robert, while we have you, I know you mentioned making sure that everyone in your workforce is completely integrated with each other and that you look at abilities rather than disabilities. Can you talk a little bit more about how you integrate everyone together with your employees and how that process kind of plays into the on-the-job training?
Absolutely. I mean, the way that it works is we educate our all of our employees about how the jobs, what the job needs are. And so the integration is actually seamless. We put them into positions that other employees have to fill. And so they are given jobs that are not separated. We don't devise or design jobs specifically for these people. They are jobs that exist, and they are filled by what we call our employees, whether they come through Spectrum Works as a trainee through a high school program, or we hire them directly. They are jobs that are open and need to be filled regardless. So that's what we mean by integration. There is no separation. There's no way of discerning. And if you go to the factory, you have people working in all elements, whether it's the graphics, whether it's in the manufacturing, whether it's in the pick and pack. All of that work is previously designed for our employees anyway.
Yeah, I have to chime in and agree with you there. I feel like often there is I'll just say this isn't the first time I've dealt with a placement program, a job assistance program like this, and you can tell when the support isn't there, it just doesn't work. But like when it goes both ways, at least from the employer perspective, there, you just can't make the assumption that you have to design a job for a person. In fact, the other way around is usually more helpful to try to get them to develop into the role that they're being asked to do. It's just it's one of those leveling out of the status difference there, which I think is a positive influence. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a final question before we wrap up?
I think there was a question in the chat, maybe for Nick. I know you're under the weather, but if you're still on, what industries have apprenticeships? Are there any examples?
Sure. Great question. I think that, when most people hear the word apprenticeship, they automatically attribute that to the skilled trades. It is true that historically the highest density of apprenticeship programs have been in the skilled trades, but our Gains program that I mentioned before, growing apprenticeships in non-traditional sectors, is doing quite the opposite. We've really tried to take this great model of training and adapt it to other areas of our labor market. So over the 4 years of pushing out grants for this program, we've seen a lot of action in healthcare, especially during COVID, but even before COVID, just simply by the fact that it's the largest growth sector in the labor market projected for the next decade. But we've also made some headway in advanced manufacturing, information technology. We've done things at water utilities. And one of the ones that I love to talk about is the program that we stood up at the Princeton Plasma Physics Lab, where literally the apprentices are working on a fusion reactor, which is a piece of research technology that is looking to create clean energy at a fusion technology. So if they crack the code on that, they may save the world and fix our energy woes as a species. No big deal there. But this is really a model that can be adapted to any sector. So I hope that answers the question. But there really is no bound of the places that we've seen these programs in.
Thanks, Nick. Chrissy, I'll turn it back to you to wrap up, and we'll make sure to follow up with everyone with contact information and any other information you have. Just feel free to shoot us an email.
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. And again, thank you to all of our partners. I read them off obviously in the beginning of the webinar, and we listed them in the chat. Specific thanks again to our media partners who have continued to spread the word about this, the NJBIA team as well, and our interpreter today, Debbie Olson. Thank you. I do want to just, in summary, say that there are resources available, and we've heard directly from the business community, those who are hiring an individual with a disability, that there are resources available, whether it be through our disability partners, some highlighted here today, some that aren't informed, as well as our state officials, whether in the Department of Human Services, but specifically also in the Department of Labor. We talked about classes and some further education around technical coaching, consultation services, disability training and adaptation for even your fellow employees, internship experiences and how to coordinate that as well. So there is clearly a lot of resources out there. We have a workforce that wants to go to work with our employer community. So in conclusion today, I want to thank everybody for sharing their best practices. Our goal here today, again, was to say it is possible. Please lean in. Please utilize all of us respectfully as a resource to you. Our association partners, disability partners, and our state government officials, both in the executive branch as well as in the legislature, we can connect you with the appropriate person. So we will continue to follow up and engage everyone here, and happy to answer any follow-up questions via email or phone call. And we will have this recording taped. And so please feel free to reach out to us. As I said, we appreciate the collaboration. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.